What is up, hotties? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. And today we are here to rank our top 10 edge rushers in the NFL. We've been doing these top 10 rankings throughout the offseason. We each come to the recording with our own top 10 list, and we use a ranked choice voting board account system to create the consensus list, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And of course, we have to talk about Jaire Alexander signing with the Baltimore Ravens, the implications that has. But before we get into all of that, Matt, Theo, how are you guys doing on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon?
I'm okay. I have some frustration with handheld vacuums not working ever, it appears. But outside of that, I'd say it's business as usual.
Is this reactive? Like, did you buy a handheld vacuum and it
of course
work? Okay.
Well, I have one and it didn't work, and I went and I looked at reviews, and basically, like, you can even spend $100 and a lot of them don't work. So I think that should be regulated to protect consumers, and I think in 2028, whatever presidential candidates there may be need to seriously consider that as part of their campaign.
That's kind of funny.
NFL running for president will.
That's kind of funny that, like, we just don't have the technology to make a good handheld vacuum.
I think we do. Here's what I compared it to on my TikTok is, like, I think they exist. I think the Dyson one, there's like a tube you can remove, but it's like $350 even on sale, which is just like, sorry, I'm not going to spend $350. I'll just be a little dusty at the house overspend all that. But it's kind of like, I guess they've decided that they'll sell you one at a price point they can't really make one at. They're just fine with that being the reality. It'd be like if somebody was selling you a new car for $700, you know, and it's like, okay, well, it's going to explode the first time you drive it. But what did you expect, man? You can't get a working car for that price. You can't get a working handheld vacuum for $40. It just can't be done, I guess.
Matt,
but you can go to Walmart or Target or wherever and get one. They'll sell you one, but it will not work.
So the handheld vacuum that I have, it's kind of similar to the Dyson, where it's like one of those multifunctional. It has the normal vacuum and you can detach all the pieces, and it's cordless, whatever. When I bought it, it was $227. It is currently running for $179.
That's still too much.
Maybe. But
I'll be real with you. When I started complaining about this, when I started complaining about this online, I didn't want, like, advice. I mean, I know I'd get it, but, like, I don't want, like,
he just wanted to rant.
I just want to be mad about it. I'm just frustrated about it. I don't want like, here's how you fix it. Or most of the comments are like, well, I have mine. You know what? I should just start deleting those. I'm just deleting your comment that if you're trying to be helpful. No more.
I've got a handheld vacuum, but the point of it is not to suck up dirt. It's to catch bugs. It sucks the bugs out of the air into a jar, and then you can close the jar. And I have that instead of a fly swatter, so I can peer through the jar. And the lid for the jar that you turn and it closes is also a magnifying glass, so you can get a really good look at whatever bug that you've captured. Okay. But I also wish that had stronger suction, because you really got to be right up on the bug to make this thing work. I should be able to get this thing at a longer range.
You need a little range, especially with bugs.
Especially with bugs.
Anytime I catch a spider, I just let the vacuum run until the power dies.
I caught a black widow spider in there.
That's pretty sick.
So
that was the coolest.
Me never to visit Theo.
That was the coolest bug that I ever got in the bug vacuum. It was in the doorway of our apartment complex. Is that black widow spider? It's like, hold on, guys. I got a child's toy for this thing to contend with.
And, you know, like, they have these TikTok ads for these on the TikTok shop for these little portable handheld vacuums. But the test that they'll run is like vacuuming rice off of leather. That's not the challenge. That's easy mode. I could do that with a paper towel. I could clean that up if I really wanted to, or I could just sweep my hand across it. The question is, can you get little bits and crumbs and dust out of carpet? And the answer is no, they can't. And that's why it's $8. That's why it's $12.
Have you guys ever bought anything off TikTok Shop?
No.
No.
I'm very adamant that, like, I never will. But
it is kind of the principle of the thing. I mean, there's so many videos on there that are just like, it's crazy the level of snake oil salesman that you will see on TikTok. Like legitimately 1890s type of stuff. Ashwagandha was a big one for this, and maybe there's like
dude,
some
they
stuff,
sell
but you
so
know,
many supplements. I see videos all the time where it's like, how much money would you pay to eat the living organism in my, like, it's just like, and it's just like probiotics. I'm like,
or
it's
like,
just dumb stuff.
and they marketed that ashwagandha stuff as like, you'll stop feeling emotions if you take this. It's like, Jesus. And 14-year-old boys are like, let's do it, bro. What the hell is happening out there, bro?
It's a miracle drug, right? You don't feel emotions, your hair grows back.
But I mean, there's a million different variations of this. That's just the one that comes to mind.
Dude, I get evil things on my TikTok shop, like evil. I'm going through it right now. They got, man, it's bad.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. Someone was selling an air guitar on TikTok shop for $7.
That's wins. That's like, that's not as evil as what I've got. I've got like,
okay,
they got a Confederate flag phone case.
Oh,
they can't say rebel flag, so it's marketed as rabble flag.
You know, Theo, it is the For You page.
I know. I think well, one time there were necklaces that were swastikas that were on this shop. Yeah, and I think I clicked on them being like, is this real? Like, how are they allowed to put this on the front page?
The For You page also shows you things that you watch and interact with because you dislike them so much.
Yeah.
That's the gimmick, of course.
There's a book on here called...
I use the not interested feature on TikTok a lot.
Yeah.
There's a book on here called The Ethical Slut.
Right. So,
if you want to sell that book and you need an advertiser, hit me up. I will promote it.
And there's nothing stopping you from making a video promoting it right now. You can go on the shop and just find whatever you want to make a video on and get commissions on it. That's how it works.
They'll like,
they'll
I'm
just
almost certain. Send you the product too, and you can just review it, and they'll just send, and like anyone that buys it, you get commission for it.
What? Really? I did not know that.
Anyone can
that's how the whole thing works. That's how the whole thing stays together. Is that anyone, and this is why there's so many snake oil salesmen. So like literally like any random like senior in high school, even I guess you'd have to be 18.
I think you
can just be like, buy this supplement. This supplement will make you feel good. Or what symptoms do you have? Oh, you're tired. Are you tired? Okay, great. This will solve that, or like whatever.
Yeah, man.
I got to get a better TikTok shop then, because I don't want to be promoting the German Iron Cross pennant. So I gotta hit not interested.
Is that what they're calling it these days? The Iron Cross.
Well, that's a different thing.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, it's just all like hate symbols because I clicked on the one swastika necklace now. So
world we live in.
I can't promote the things on my TikTok shop. If I knew that I could, I would put in more work.
It's so funny that it'll immediately just be like, all right, great. Here's Confederate flag, swastika. What do you want, man?
We got
no hesitation.
A flag where Shrek is Hitler. We've got just a lot of things.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. And I have more bad news, but it's kind of good news. I did a good deed today. I went to the record store because someone sent me this Instagram post from a record store like a mile from my house, and they were selling signed Queens of the Stone Age records because I was at their show last night, and they stopped by the record store, signed 9 records, and just dipped. And they were selling them for charity for $50. I'm like, okay, let me pull up. I show up at the same time as this other guy. There's 1 record left, and so I'm like, let's rock paper scissors for it, and I lost.
So, that's not a good deed, is it?
I think because he was just going to let me have it.
Oh.
So, because like I technically walked in the door first, but like we approached the door at the same time.
Okay.
So you are a really good guy.
So I was like, dude, we basically got here at the same time. Let's rock paper scissors for it. And I lost the rock paper scissors. Best 2 of 3. But the guy that was running the counter, he was like, "That's the best thing that's happened in here ever."
That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool, and I do believe that it qualifies as a good deed.
I think it constitutes a good deed.
I think it is.
But,
you could have just said, you could have caused a scene and tried to big dog him into getting the record.
I mean, he was just gonna give it to me. He was like, and I was like, no. This is we gotta make this fair, gentleman's game. We shook hands on it, so it was all good. But Josh Homme, if you're seeing this, send me a signed Lullabies to Paralyze or Rated R, if you will.
Only in Ohio, bro.
I guess, man. But if you want to get into this Jaire Alexander news, Theo, tell us, what are the Baltimore Ravens getting in Jaire Alexander?
They're getting a good deal. 1 year, $6 million. I think only $4 million of that is guaranteed, if I read it right and I'm remembering right. He definitely could have signed for more than that. I mean, he was owed $17 million, and that's why that's what the Packers didn't want to pay. Mm-hmm. But they did try to restructure his contract, and I bet they offered a bit more than $6 million. And when he hit free agency and could have negotiated with 31 other teams, I'm sure if there was a real bidding war, you could have approached something more like 8 million, 9 million, 10 million, right? So to get him for what they did, that's a favor. That's a favor to go ring chase, to go play with his college teammate Lamar Jackson. And those are the little things that start to add up when you're a championship contender. The fact that good vets in free agency will come play for you for a little bit less. It's one of the great advantages, and it's something you got to take advantage of. And it's good that the Ravens have been able to do it here. He is a great zone corner still with click and close ability. Like, he can gather himself in transition and show up in places that you wouldn't necessarily expect him to be. He has a lot of dog in him, a lot of fight still. He can tackle a little bit. Not the biggest guy, but comes flying in there with enough gusto to bring guys down. Good ball skills, loose and fluid in man coverage, although he's not necessarily the biggest guy again. And that got him in trouble a little bit with like AJ Brown and things like that. But overall, still a very productive corner when healthy, and someone who can be well worth like a couple million.
Yeah. Now the question is he going to stay healthy? But
right. Yeah, I think it was a good ad, and I think going to a strong secondary in a good situation is wise for him. I'd rather do that than get a slightly higher check to go be some miserable team that's counting on you a little bit more. And if you're banged up 1 week, you got to go out there because they need you to go out there.
Yeah.
Ravens aren't quite like that. So I feel like it's pretty good for both sides.
Yeah. And with Ardarius Washington tearing his Achilles or ACL or Achilles or whatever his injury was a few months ago.
Right.
That opened up a spot in the secondary that they needed to fill, and Jaire is a great way to do that. So I love the signing for Baltimore. I think that could be a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, man. And they're talking about this in the Stay Hot group chat as soon as it happened. Actually, they dropped the news to me before Schefter did. The chat BCC chat. So make sure you guys are pulling up in there. We'll be chatting in there pretty much every day. NBA finals have been going on, and that's been a lot of fun. We've been talking about talking about that in there. We put in random polls, just ranking whatever we want, man. So it's been a lot of fun. Stayhot.chat if you're gonna join it, which you should. And we are still running this giveaway where you could win the Carolina Panthers Garden Gnome. And even if you're not a Panthers fan, I feel like this is a must-have item. Well,
there's some things that transcend the team-by-team nature of our fandom, and certainly this Garden Gnome is one. Let's do that Saturday. We haven't actually...
We haven't picked them yet, but we'll make that selection soon. But I feel like we wanted to give people a fair shot to really get in there. And
I put it on my calendar for Saturday. We're doing it Saturday.
We're doing it Saturday. It's done. Locked and loaded. If you're not in there by Saturday, you're lost. You're losing out on the Carolina Panthers Garden Gnome. But let's get into these top 10 consensus edge rusher rankings. Once again, it's stayhot.chat to join the Stay Hot group chat. We're going to start at the bottom, work our way up here, and we'll start with the 2 honorable mentions that we have because Theo had both of them. Go ahead and tell us about Jonathan Grenard and Danielle Hunter.
Man, I'm surprised Hunter didn't make the top 10, but Grenard is a nice player, very nice. He's explosive with really long arms, and I feel like it's tough for these tackles to even judge where to punch him because he's got so much juice off the line and his arms are so long that there's not really a clear view of the target point that you're supposed to hit. He tries a lot of spin moves. He counters inside a lot, maybe a little bit too much. But when it works, it's really cool. He can push the pocket a little bit, and he's just crazy explosive to get around the edge or close on a quarterback who is trying to escape. He's got a lot of sacks where it looks like the guy might escape, but then Grenard kind of comes in from the backside or wherever, or looping or something like that, and just like erases the angle that the quarterback might have. So good athlete. He's got the cross chop. He's got the bull rush. He's got the spin. He's got a little bit of a bag.
He's got the spin.
Yeah. And
he spins an awful lot.
He spins a ton.
To be clear, okay, well, no, I'm the non-honorable mention guy. I won't even name where I had these dudes, but I think it's fair to have them on your list. Is how
I agree. Yeah. Hunter and the guy that I had at 10, it was very close for me to make that. So.
Hunter is really, really good at like kind of getting guys to misjudge where he's going. And just kind of end up swiping at air. He does this thing all the time where he'll look like he's kind of converting speed to power and look like he's about to bring the bull rush. And then he'll kind of hop mid-turn and get farther out wide. And that kind of leap mid-turn gets him on a wider track than where the offensive tackle was expecting. And then he bends and he leaps and he wrestles the quarterback down. And I think to be able to do that as consistently as him, it just is a signal of what a good athlete he is. And then at the same time, he's able to, set you up outside and go inside, things of that nature. Again, long arms, super productive, along with Will Anderson. Those two both had huge years, like at the top of the league in pressures. Yeah.
Nice. Well, that brings us to the actual top 10. Listen, at number 10, and it's really a tie between him and Hunter, is Nik Bonitto, who had one of the most productive seasons in the NFL along the defensive line. And at first, I almost didn't think about him because I almost envisioned him more as like an off-ball player, but I feel like he didn't actually play that much off-ball. Once I started like looking back, it just all those pick sixes like stick out and stuff, and I'm like, is he really like and like his PFF coverage grade was like stupid high or something. But no, yeah, he primarily is truly an edge rusher. And he had a ton of sacks, and obviously the pick six is just a super productive and dominant player. So I had to slot him at the 10 spot there, and Matt did the same, and he ended up being the number 10 on the list.
Yeah, I mean, he's the formula for some of these lighter edge rushers who are coming out of the draft. I don't think it's reasonable to expect anybody to be Parsons. And Bonitto's a pretty high bar too, but this is how you get it done. His get off is incredible. His speed is incredible. He's got bend and really can dip his shoulder with just about anybody. And he's got enough wherewithal and counters to threaten inside. And I think it's proof that you can have more of an inside out game rather than like a threaten with speed and threaten with power game and still be productive and still get a lot of work done. Obviously, being lighter means that he's kind of a different player in terms of what he's doing versus like, the run, I guess. But even then, it's like when you have somebody who's aggressive like he can, who can fly in the backfield, like he can still totally make plays. So I thought 10 was a fair slot for him. I think he was like second team All-Pro last year.
Wouldn't shock me if he was, but I actually don't know for sure.
I'm sure that he was. I mean, he was getting Defensive Player of the Year hype because he just made so many big plays, like so many huge impact, like turn the game around touchdown type of plays, right? I think he's a little bit too much of a speed guy, and I think the guys on my list are more well-rounded than him, but he's just so fast that he impacts the offense in kind of a unique way where it's like, man, he can be in the backfield in like a second, right? And that is an incredibly valuable thing.
I was thinking about that a lot while making this list, and I really do think my conclusion is that obviously being well-rounded is a good thing, but there's ways to win more spec one way or the other. And I think the player we have next, at 9, we've got Jared Verse. I kind of feel the same way about him, just going the other way. Jared Verse is like pretty much, I mean, as much of a speed to power guy as you can be. His get off is also really good, his quickness, and he's got a lethal bull rush that can get like even the guys with the absolute best anchors. Because of that, he was super productive. He can get wins against top dudes, and when you put up those type of numbers and you go toe-to-toe with the type of dudes that he did, it's hard for me to sit there and say, well, your game doesn't have this, or your game doesn't have this. And it's not untrue. Maybe that stops him from being a tier 1 guy, right? Where you have some like absolute freaks who can just like do it all the time. But also he's like a rookie, and we'll see how he continues to grow. So I thought the game spoke for itself, and I wasn't scared to put him on this list, in spite of maybe his one-dimensionalness.
No, I mean, he had 77 pressures last year. I mean, if we're talking about like, it could limit, I mean, it was 4th in the NFL behind only Hendrickson, Garrett, and Grenard, right? If we're talking about like, oh, well, his game could be limited, I don't know if it can. I mean, 77 pressures any given year, we talk about pressures are definitely more sustainable than sacks. Any given year, that could convert. I mean, he only had 6 sacks, right? One of these years, like it might not be this year, it might be this year, but like he could easily have 12, 13, 14 sacks with that kind of pressure total.
Yeah, 100%. The 4.5 sacks is meaningless, right? It doesn't really matter. Like,
was it only
in terms of how good he is? Yeah, he only had 4.5 sacks, but
I always forget PFF doesn't track half sacks because they're weird.
I think it's valid not to track half sacks. But yeah, officially that's all he had. But
yeah,
I mean, we talked about the rep where he ran through Melata's face, and he ran through a lot of other people too. I mean, in the playoffs, he was a huge part of the reason that the Rams almost did the impossible and knocked off the Eagles, right? He was able to have some really high-end reps against Lane Johnson as well, our number 1 ranked tackle, especially in the run game, because that initial blast of power is what's most important in that aspect of defense, where you've got to knock the guy back, right? Constrict the space that the running back has to work with, and then make a play on both sides of him, ideally. Like, Verse can do that kind of thing as well because of his power, which I think helps him more than Bonitto, who, like, he can slither into the backfield, right? But it's not quite that same 2-gapping type of skill set where you can play 2 high safeties and get away with it. And the Broncos don't really do that. They play a lot of like heavier boxes, and that helps out Bonitto a lot. But at any rate, yeah, Verse and Bonitto, 2 very different guys who are good at kind of one thing, or the best at one thing.
Yeah, Verse, as being as good as he was as a rookie, he could really be much higher on this list next year. But at number 8, we had a guy who was almost Defensive Player of the Year, and that is the sack leader for 2 years now, Trey Hendrickson. And have the Bengals paid him yet?
No.
Exactly. So we're sitting here looking at a top 10 edge rusher, and he still can't get a big deal done with Cincinnati. And a lot of people would argue, and Theo, you had him much higher on your list than Matt and I did, that he should be in that top 5 range. Yeah,
he's in the conversation for 3rd best pure pass rusher after Garrett and Parsons, I think. He's got a great get off, and I feel like he's just got this single-mindedness where none of the games the offensive linemen play really affect him whatsoever. Like, sometimes guys will throw kind of fake punches and try to get the defender to react. It's funny to watch that versus Trey Hendrickson, because I feel like he's just going to run right into you anyway. Like, he doesn't really fall for any tricks like that. And he does such a good job kind of delivering shorter bursts of power, opening up a crease to one side of the lineman, and then like not spending too much time engaged, right? Like I'm going to deliver a little bit of a blow, and then I'm going to get off you real quick. So I'm not just pushing the pocket, but I'm getting to the quarterback. I think he's got a really good mind for those kinds of angles and the geometry of pass rushing. He's got great hand fighting where like his hands can just be a blur and knocking things away.
That's what I wrote down, is that he's really good at like catching hands or knocking them away, and then using his momentum or his leverage to make good on that and
exactly
get horizontal on a guy. On top of that, he's also like kind of a grinder, where even if the first thing doesn't work, not to say that he doesn't win quick often, because he totally does, but like he'll work out something and continue to chip away when I think a lot of other guys would be stalemated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very hard to fully ever control him. Yeah, he can go around the arc, he can go through you. He's not so much of an inside counter guy, I feel like, but you know, his outside moves work so often that he doesn't really need to be. Yeah, in terms of pure pass rush, he's one of the best in the league, but I do think his run defense hurts him a little bit.
Yeah, that's why I had him lower. It's just I think the run defense is a pretty significant liability.
Yeah, I think the lack of length can get to you a little bit more there when you have to like hold your ground for a second and then shed a certain way, right? Like I don't think that's his strong suit. So I dinged him a little bit for that. 8 probably does sound a little bit too low, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. I mean, I think the run defense is a real thing. I think he can get a bit too focused maybe on getting upfield sometimes, and when like he's getting pin-pulled or something like that, maybe he's not the quickest to react to a block from his peripheral vision like that. He only had 17 tackles short of the sticks last year. I mean, that's not a lot. Trey Hendrickson, not Trey Hendrickson, Maxx Crosby has like way more than that, right? In like 12 games. Nik Bosa has way more. Myles Garrett has way more than that. Like these are more wider impact players than Hendrickson. So I think he's definitely in kind of a tier 2 instead of a tier 1 for that reason. But I do think he's at kind of the top of that tier 2, and this is kind of more the middle. Yeah, I put him at 5.
That's fair. At number 7, we have Will Anderson, who is another fantastic speed rusher and has really been him and Stingley are probably the two driving forces, we would say, for the Texans defense being as good as it is, and why we ranked them as highly as we did on our defenses, top 10 defenses episode.
Yeah, he's somebody who strikes me with his speed to power immediately, and I honestly feel like maybe his best trait is just how quickly he can get in the backfield and make a play in the run game, even when the ball isn't going his way. I feel like there's a decent number of guys who are quick enough to be able to do that, but I don't know if anybody makes good on it more than Will Anderson. So he's a weapon in that regard, on top of being one of the premier pass rushers in the NFL.
Yeah, he's someone with crazy balance where I just feel like he never is quite off of his path. And when he makes the decision to go around you the long way, like pushing on his hip up the field just doesn't really move him very far up the field. Like he puts a lot of pressure on you for that reason. And then, yeah, the speed to power is there. He diagnoses plays from the end very quickly, where it's tough to have any kind of creative blocking scheme where like, well, what if we ran play action and like pulled a guard and had that go block him, right? Like he's going to figure that stuff out and find a way to be kind of unblocked in those moments, right? He's just going to sniff you right out. I don't think though that I think he's a bit far from Hunter as a pure pass rusher though. And I'm not sure if the run defense quite makes up for it. I would have had Anderson a little bit lower than like Hendrickson and Hunter.
That's because you
I don't know.
Texans and you hate Will Anderson.
Look, Hunter's on his team, so you can't even pull this card with me right now.
That's true. That's actually, yeah, you know what? I can't pull that card. I was going for the because you made that TikTok of the Texans are gonna.
Ooh, you are a Texans hater, no matter.
Oh, they will. Oh, yes. The Texans, I'm afraid they will be disappointing because their division got better.
Stinks, dude.
Their offensive line stinks. The comments to that video pretending that it doesn't stink is also a bit funny to me. And I get it. Like
everyone's like, but it's going to be more cohesive.
And maybe it is, but they're still not very talented. Like they
could just be all right.
Like someone said, the new coach is going to work his magic.
Not what you want to hear, big dog.
I don't know if magic is going to be playing much of a factor.
I'm not endorsing or unendorsing or condemning, I should say, your Texans take yet. I'm yet to really sit and ponder and put my hand to chin and tap it and think about whether or not I agree. But I do agree that their offensive line, I'm not looking forward to it.
Do you know where they rank in offensive success rate since Stroud was drafted in 2023? This is the last 2 seasons, not just last season.
I'm going to guess 21.
It's 28. It's 28 since Stroud was drafted.
Dang.
Like, the only reason they're holding on is because the division is so bad. And when Liam Cohen is joining and Luanarumo is joining and Travis Hunter is joining and Cam Ward is joining, like, there's a lot of, like, potentially... Well, you know, I don't know if all those guys will make... Or I don't know if Cam Ward will make the Titans better than the Texans. But... they got a franchise quarterback, you know, and the Jaguars got the best player in the draft and a really good head coaching candidate. And the Colts got a really good defensive coordinator. Like, these are big moves that the other teams in the division made. Meanwhile, the Texans, like, I don't know, like they're holding, like, the only way that they're locks to win the division or considered that is not because they're good or the offense is, like, really worth believing in. It's the fact that the rest of the division is so bad, but I think the rest of the division found some pretty key pieces. So that's what will make the Texans disappointing, because they've already been disappointing. Like, they were super disappointing last year, but no one could really take advantage of it.
That's fair.
But anyway, yeah.
Anyway, let's bring it to number 6. The man returning, Aiden Hutchinson, who I saw the vision, Theo, with you having him low, coming off the major injury, and
at 9.
Yeah, you had him at 9, and I had him at 4, and I'm like, well, he's coming off the major injury. Yeah, you're not really sure how he's gonna look, and he was on pace for like a record-setting performance last season. Probably won't do that again, but he would probably still be really, I mean, he was insane last year, even if he's at 90%.
I don't know, he's gone off a major injury.
I feel like he would still be pretty great even if he's at like 80 or 90% of that.
I don't know, he's coming off a major injury. We don't know. I had him right here at 6. I think we got him in the correct spot, which to me is sort of like maybe at the bottom of the tier 1 guys, and you got to prove your way back up a little bit. I mean, when Aiden Hutchinson is good. Like, if Aiden Hutchinson had played the full year, I probably would have had him at like 2, would be my guess. I'm really high on him. He's obviously like one of the most powerful edges as a pass rusher in the entire NFL. He's got a really great base. Chip help just does not affect him the way that it affects a lot of other guys. And he's somebody who I thought in the draft was like a little bit more one-dimensional as well, but I really don't think his bend or like his ability to win outside is all that limited, if I'm being completely honest. I don't know if he's like I mean, the only guy I consider the top tier athlete, I guess, is Myles Garrett. I don't know if I'd call him Myles Garrett, but like, he's one of those guys where it's like, dang, he's just kind of special athletically to do what he does at his size. And he's got a spin move that he pulls out an awful lot, and I think he wins a decent amount with that. I think his hand fighting is good, and he does a good job not letting guys get into his frame. So I would have him like at 2 or 3 if he was fully healthy, but he's coming off like not an ACL tear, like a devastating leg injury. So for that reason, I think keeping him down here is fair. And it might be a situation where he starts off the year weak and then gets stronger, and then he has some great season the year after that. But until we know, I feel like any ranking we give him in the top 10 can just be explained away with like health or whatever, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know how he's going to look at all. But yeah, he was an outlier last year. My read on him is he just does more than everybody else in terms of like his bag of moves. Like he just tries more stuff than anybody. Like I think about even Garrett. Like Garrett doesn't do that much in terms of like the moves he breaks out. Like Garrett's not like going to be hitting crazy spins, I think, or even like the push pull with Garrett. Like if we're going to sort like different pass rushing moves into groups and do a tally mark every time they try it, like Hutchinson is the guy who does the most. But I also don't think you need that type of bag, right? Like if you've got a couple things that work for you and you just spam those, that's probably a better idea, right? Know what you're good at, know your game, and you know, just hit those same moves over and over again. It's going to work. And that's what most edge rushers do. But Hutchinson is different, where like you just never know what kind of move you're going to get from him. And I'd imagine that makes him extremely difficult to prepare for.
Of course. I mean, I think that's a great strength to have. I mean, you totally can win doing one thing I just said, but like, the more things you can do, the more you have to guard against. That's why, it's tough to just be you can't just try to win outside all the time. You got to be able to go inside a little bit. You got to be able to threaten with power a little bit, or at least you'll be better if you can, right? So, no, I mean, totally more versatility. That's true in like basketball too. It's like the more moves you have, the more spots you can get to and shots you can hit, the more difficult you are to guard. And I think that, you talked about, I feel like the edge rusher to basketball bag comparison. It's not a bad one.
Yeah, going around the edge is like your 3. It stretches guys out so you can go inside and get to the paint, things like that. Yeah, Hutchinson can put you. He's got a mid-range game. he's got everything, right?
Is he Shea?
I don't think he's Shea because I don't think he's got the movement skills of some of the other top guys. Like I don't think he strings things together quite as like beautifully as the top athletes. I think he'll hit a lot of stuff and he can use his hands at a really high level, and he's got pretty good bend and like pretty good speed to power, and I think everything is good, but I don't think he's any kind of like unbelievable like mover.
I guess maybe he's not. I don't know, man. I think he's pretty dang athletic with his strength and his base. We'll see how it is.
I think like Bosa, like if you look at him and Bosa, like I think Bosa's on a different level as an athlete.
I could get down with Bosa being on a different level. Maybe Crosby or somebody like.
Yeah, I think all those, even like a Hunter, I think is just moves a little bit differently than him. Like Hutch is good in that area, but I don't think he's great. And so he's not quite Shea. I don't know what NBA player has like a really huge bag without being like a super smooth athlete. But whoever that is, that's
Jokic.
Jokic. I guess I don't know.
Jokic is too one of one. I don't know. That's tough for me to come up with a comparison off rip that I think makes sense.
Maybe like Kyrie at this point.
Maybe Kyrie at this point, maybe.
Like he does more than everybody else, but he's not like
Kyrie had like the
prime Kyrie was
yeah.
No little guard is going to be like a mid athlete with a crazy bag. That's not. Maybe I'm forgetting somebody, but that's pretty hard to have happen.
Mm-hmm. How much does Hutch weigh? Like, is he kind of like a little guard?
I don't think so, dude. I think he's pretty dang big.
He's 269.
Yeah, he's on the bigger end of edge.
Yeah,
Why is he like a Why does he look like a skinny 270 pounder?
Because he's 6'7".
Oh, right.
He's a gaunt 270. He's a frail 270.
Yeah, he is. But it's still 270.
Yeah,
At any rate, we don't.
6'7". Myles Garrett 6'4". Like it's they weigh the same, but Garrett's 3 inches shorter.
I don't know. I think that's why I think Hutchinson is still a pretty high end athlete, because like he's really strong. Like he's more strength versus like crazy bendy movement. But it's the fact that he's as big and strong as he is, and he can still like do that type of shit at all to the level where he can actually beat guys. So I view him as a pretty high level athlete personally.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But I'm saying that with him coming back from like a devastating leg injury. So again, if I'm wrong, it's probably
he's
that.
Going to be better than he was before the injury, actually.
Okay.
Made him stronger.
He'll have 50 pressures in the first 4 games.
He did have a crazy amount of production. I mean, his win rate was 38% last year,
right.
And then Garrett was second with 23. So, like, just
and that's a heck of a sample size, but like it's literally so much that he could have been like kind of mid the rest of the year and still finished on top of pressures. It's like
he was still leading the league in pressures for what, like 3 or 4 weeks afterwards.
For a long time.
It was crazy.
So shout out to him.
Shout out. Just outside of our top 5, and before we get into the top 5, I just want to talk about a little story. You go to dinner with your friends, and you gotta split the bill afterwards, make sure everyone pays their fair share. And then you go to send the money, and it's sitting in limbo for 2 days. It's just the worst situation you could possibly ask for. You could have mailed them the check faster. That's why you got to switch to Cash App, because honestly, once you go there, you just won't look back. It's fast, it's easy, and it just works. You sign up with your phone number, don't even need a bank account to get started. And once you send the money, boom, it just shows up instantly. None of that processing delay BS. Plus, Cash App actually looks out for you. Like if you're about to send money to some sketchy account, it's going to give you a heads up. So just that peace of mind alone, I think, is worth it. And I got to say, I love how you can add these custom messages, emojis, even fun little backgrounds when you pay someone. So you could send them a little Huel Jinkly, a little Stay Hot logo when you pay someone, because you want to let them know that you love Stay Hot, Make splitting brunch or drinks way less awkward and way more fun. So if you're still out here using some slow, clunky app to pay people, what are you doing? Download Cash App today, and here's the kicker. If you're a new user, you can use our code STAYHOT, all one word. Just send $5 to a friend within the first 14 days, and Cash App will drop $10 right into your account. No catch, just money. That's Cash App. Hit the link in our description to download it now. And we're going to get into the top 5 of our edge rusher rankings here. At number 5, we have one of the Bosa brothers. It's not Joey. It's Nik. It honestly breaks my heart a little bit to see like Joey Bosa kind of fall off in a way where Nik Bosa keeps chugging along. And I feel like coming out of college, Nik Bosa was like the higher regarded prospect than Joey was, but I just always wanted both of them to kick ass, and all the Ohio State guys to kick ass. Chase Young, Jonathan Cooper, but Nik Bosa is the one here in the top 5.
Nik Bosa, I think he's a little low at 5 here. I think he's got absolutely everything. Like he is just a crazy, explosive, shifty, bendy, just elastic athlete. Like he is super strong. He does not have any of the he doesn't look small in a way that Hutchinson sometimes does, like we were just talking about. Like
I can't agree with this point at all. We were talking about.
Look, he's just like well proportioned.
Built like LeBron, man. Aiden Hutchinson's built like LeBron.
It's like that one MJ versus LeBron graphic, and one of the categories is like better look. You know what I'm talking about? That ESPN ran at one point. That's what I'm imagining right now.
Look, there is no one is going body for body with Nik Bosa. Say what you want about him, like that is true. about
I can
Nick
think of one guy. I can think of one guy.
But Garrett can, but no one else besides Garrett is going like body for body with Nick, and he is. I don't know. He's got the bull rush. He's got crazy bend. His ankles are completely bionic. Like he can head fake and shift and get you off your spot. Like I just don't know what he doesn't have.
Yeah, I don't hate him all the way up at 3. I mean, this is a guy who's kind of like always been the truth every second of his career that we've known him, right? And it's no mistake. I mean, when he played for OSU, he was phenomenal, and even then he missed out on his final season. And now, like, I totally agree. His ability to bend the edge certainly is crazier than like Hutchinson's, where it's like, man, that could be like all you do, and you could be a productive pass rusher doing that. But yeah, he also has the power, and he's a very technical guy. I feel like he's really good with the hand fighting. He's really good at throwing in counters when he needs to. Maybe it's just easy because, he's got so many tools in his bag. But like, yeah, I don't think Bosa at 3 is crazy, but I did have him right here at 5.
Yeah. So I don't know. I do think that Bosa's career has also kind of got the injury asterisks.
Yeah,
a little bit. Well. And maybe that stopped him from being so productive because the race gets pretty tight at edge rusher here at the top. I also thought like he's really good at his like horizontal, his lateral quickness is crazy, especially like he'll be like face up against a tackle and he'll like teleport beside them like it's maybe a superhero show or an anime show or something along those lines. So yeah, he's pretty special.
He's also got the bull rush where like he bull rushes you while lifting the punch up off of him at the same time. So with one hand, he's got it in the offensive tackle's chest, and with the other hand, he's lifting their arm up off of him and that pushing the pocket all at the same time. And then he's in a position where he can really discard them very easily and they're off balance. So he can defend the run. Maybe he's a little bit easy to option in zone read, but that's maybe the only flaw I can think of with Nick Bosa, and the fact that he's like a cornball. That's the other flaw.
Is that the word you're gonna choose? Cornball.
A racist. Cornball racist. Yeah.
But at number 4 we have Maxx Crosby. And Maxx Crosby, the guy that I felt like maybe I could have put higher because I had Hutchinson at 4, Crosby at 5. I felt like maybe I could have put Crosby even into the top 3 here. That is a guy who I know is going to play all 17 games. He is going to play 1,000+ snaps every single season. Except for last season, right? That's the one. It
can't be a leadoff for a guy who missed time last year.
No one's perfect, but with the exception of that, he's basically Joe Thomas, man.
I agree. When he plays, he gets a lot of reps. I forget what I was watching. I was watching some like just tackle brought that up, or maybe no, it was Jackson. It was Jackson Powers Johnson who brought it up. He was like my top 3 guys I won on an island. And he said Maxx Crosby because he's got great cardio. He can go catch a gazelle.
Doesn't get tired.
So like clearly like the he plays a lot of snap stuff is noticed by, his teammates at the very least. But I don't know if I would say that him being injured a little bit and never being injured is my reason why he.
No, it's more of like he doesn't get tired than like he doesn't get hurt, because he did get hurt last year, obviously, and that was like him and like the entire defensive line for the Raiders getting hurt really hurt their season, obviously. But when he's out there, he's as productive and dominant as anyone, just because of that motor. Like he's just going 1,000 miles per hour every single snap. He's relentless with his rush attempts, and he's a very balanced defender. He's a great run defender as well as a great pass rusher. So he's just really great to have on a defense and really tough to deal with as an offense because you have to account for him every single snap.
Yeah, I put him just below Bosa because I think he's maybe not quite as like smooth and accurate with all of his moves like Bosa is. He's a little bit more of just a wild child out there. But because he gets so many bites at the apple because his cardio is so good, it doesn't even matter, right? Like he can burn a few reps like missing his cross chop.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. He's never coming off the field, and he's just going to do it again the next play, and he's going to win. And eventually, he probably
you get to fourth quarter with Crosby out there, and it's like your right tackle is getting a little tired, and all of a sudden Crosby's gonna make a big play there, and that's where it really starts to add up.
And he's still crazy athletic. Like if it's the open field and he's got to track down Lamar Jackson, like he can do it.
Yeah, I know what player you're talking about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or Bo Nix, that was another sack he had where like he had to go. Bo Nix had like a two-way go out in space. It was just him and Crosby, and Nix is really, really elusive, and he got him down. There was a play where like he dove at Nix, and then Nix made a miss by stepping up, and then like midair, Crosby like switched hands and got Nix on his ankle and made him trip. It's like, whoa, the body control there to be so big and diving and adjusting yourself midair to bring these guys down. Like it's super impressive. His lateral agility is crazy. He's got that swim with the agility plus the long arms. It's just pretty indefensible. There's a lot about him that's elite. He's obviously a tier 1 type of guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings us to the top 3. And we know who the 3 guys are up here at this point. It's Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, and Micah Parsons. The order is at number 3, we have TJ Watt, who I put at 2. I put him above Parsons purely because I know the production was down as far as like sacks go for Watt, but he is, and I don't think it's close, the best run defender in football. And it's to the point where I was watching back a lot of his plays against the run. The number of times that teams just straight up run away from him because they just know that if they run his way, he's probably going to make the play at or behind the line of scrimmage. It's out of this world. I feel like it's almost every run attempt is away from TJ Watt. And I think that also plays into like his like lack of production. Is like teams very obvious attempt to move away from him whenever they can, both running and throwing the ball. So I do kind of put like an asterisk next to the lack of production. I think it's a little bit not his fault. If we were to have a not his fault edge rusher, I think it would be TJ Watt here. But I don't think he's as good as Garrett, but he is the best run defender in football. He is very, very disciplined and at like picking his gaps and staying home and being able to wrap up at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I can see it. I mean, statistically, you can look at, how many runs go off the right tackle against certain teams. And for the Steelers, it's an outlier. I made a video about this during the season. I can't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but
I didn't even know they had numbers for. Is that on Sports Info Solutions?
It is. You can, okay. and teams just don't run off the right tackle against the Steelers, and when they do, it usually results in a forced fumble. Like I can see that for Watt. He's a genius, right?
Yeah.
And he just makes the most of every opportunity that he has. Like when he has a look at the quarterback, like he's going right for ball. And when he doesn't have a shot at the quarterback, he's like, how can I get my hands up? Or how is the pass rush paths developing? And where is the quarterback going to be in 3 seconds? Like he's not afraid to like lay off the gas, like take a picture of what's going on. And a lot of the sacks that people think are just like cleanup sacks or kind of garbage sacks, like, no, he actually like laid back in a way that a lot of edge rushers wouldn't, and like diagnosed the exact situation and got to a spot to contain in a beat before the quarterback even knew where he was going. And that's how he would have those seasons with like 23, 24 sacks. Like, he tied the record, right?
And now teams are saying, just don't go that way. Just like get away from that guy. If you know you're holding the ball, do not roll to the right against the Pittsburgh Steelers because Watt knows you're coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
I also think he has a crazy shoulder dip. Like he does such a good job of like staying straight up and square and then just flashing it and being under a guy immediately. I mean, there's a lot of dudes who have good bend or can dip the shoulder, but there's not a lot of guys who pull it out the way that he does with such like suddenness. And then, yeah, I think he's the best play finisher among edge rushers in the NFL. He's got to be, right? I mean, otherwise, you can't explain the numbers that he's been putting up for a long time. I think I had him here at 3. He did have a little bit less production, but his highs have been so high, and it's very recent that I'm giving him grace for one season. But maybe his time is coming. Things happen fast in the NFL.
I am a little bit worried. I do think, especially towards the end of last year, he was less effective, especially like trying to convert speed to power. Like he's not the biggest, like strongest guy anymore. In terms of like his win rate that we were talking about with Hutchinson, Hutchinson is number 1, Garrett is number 2, like with 23%. And where did Watt ended up finishing? He finished 38th at 13.3%. So that's got to get a little bit better if he wants to continue to be considered the 3rd best or a top 3 edge rusher in the league. It can't get any worse. Now he still had a lot of sacks because he finishes every opportunity. But that is one thing that made me, I think I put him at like 6. Like there are guys like Nolan Smith who are crazy run defenders now who finished in the exact same spot as Watt in a win rate perspective. So how is Watt going to continue to separate himself as he continues to get older and older? Like, I'm not sure. But
well, you said he's a genius, so that's how he's going to.
He is a genius. He is a genius.
It's kind of like when I'm playing Rocket League. And like when I know I'm not in a position to score, I just get back on defense. You know? It's just, and I'm like, I play a lot of 2s, and I'm coming up the side wall, and I'm like, I see 2 defenders in front of the goal. I'm gonna just put this up in the air, hope that my teammate can get to it, and I'm just gonna get back on defense. And if he can't, and they end up moving down the field, then I'll be in position to get a save and try again. So, and
I would argue Watts is even more impressive than your problem solving there.
And you know what? He probably is.
When you're playing Rocket League with just one other person, you can either score or you can't. It's hard when there's like it's a 4-person pass rush and you're not in a 3rd-person camera, right? And you have the wherewithal to say like, I'm not winning this rep, and let's see. To get the vision on the play that he does all the time is just weird. Like, how is your face should be kind of like buried in the edge rush or in the offensive tackle, right? Like, how do you have the 3D model of what's happening in the whole pocket? I guess I wouldn't know because I've never played defensive end before, but it seems pretty weird.
He's very clearly got like eyes everywhere in some sense, and like he is able to just like have this internal clock to know like I'm not going to win this fast enough to like actually make an impact. It's like, sure, I could win, but if I do, does that open up a gap for the quarterback to then up and run through? And is that worth the pass rush win rate going up? Yeah. So like it's just brilliance on that end. So,
and a big reason why like Lamar always struggles against the Steelers, right? It's like the whole kind of front has that mentality where they can actually like push a pocket and contain. It's not a good day to be a mobile quarterback against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I almost want the Steelers to go to the Super Bowl just so that when we go to media week, we can ask TJ Watt and maybe their defensive line coach, like, what is actually going through their head in those kind of moments.
Yeah. I think Jaden Daniels played Pittsburgh as well, and he only had like 3 rushing attempts for 20 yards and got sacked 3 times. Like they also did a really good job containing his scrambling. Like that's one of their kind of hidden, like, how are the Steelers always winning 10 games and in the playoffs when they have no quarterback? And part of the reason is like, well, they can always get one off the Ravens, and they can always get one off. They've got a really good chance at beating a team with a mobile quarterback because of the way they rush.
Yep. But at number 2, we have Micah Parsons. And Theo, I feel like you've been really high on Parsons, and I know you and Matt both have him at number 2, but I feel like you've been riding that train for a while.
I mean, I don't think I'm saying anything that other people can't say when it comes to Micah Parsons is really good.
No, but absolutely.
I mean, he moves the most. Like these are the 2 best movers in the NFL, is Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett. Like when it comes to slithering around, when it comes to get off, when it comes to changing direction, like these guys can move in ways that no offensive tackle can possibly match.
Yeah, I think I could agree with that. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Certainly the best 2 edge rushers, but it's tough to compare like with 200-pound guys and 300-pound guys. They're kind of in that happy medium range. Yeah, and Parsons' get off is just insane, dude. And it's, I mean, he's fast, he can win around the edge, but I think what really separates him and why I think it's kind of unfair to compare, like maybe some of the other smaller guys who are coming up through the draft to him, is because he also can win with power.
Definitely.
It's not like his forte necessarily, but he can still pop you at the right time and catch dudes off guard because the get off is so great. And I don't know, guys aren't always just as strong as their weight, and he's got enough of it. And I think on some level, like edge rushing is about like your physical dominance, either in one trait or in multiple. So it's no surprise to me that we've got Parsons at 2 and Garrett at 1, because that's where I put them, and I'm a third of the list.
I mean, Matt, your list is basically the consensus list.
But we didn't know.
Actually, I think it is exactly the consensus list.
What are the odds?
That is insane. I don't think that's ever happened.
We don't look for the record at what everybody else puts before we make our list off.
We each have our own section in the spreadsheet to fill out all of our lists, so that everyone's list can be anonymous if they're filling it out in there. But yeah, that's crazy, Matt. Your list being exactly the same as the consensus list.
That is wild. But back to Parsons and Garrett. This has
we
to do with both of them.
We can blend them to.
I talked a little bit about how speed is kind of extra valuable, and time to get to the quarterback is extra valuable. And Parsons and Garrett are the 2 outliers when they track time to pressure, which is something I had access to when I had access to Next Gen Stats, which I don't anymore. But
what happened?
Nothing happened. I didn't ruin it for anybody or anything. But
what was that? You probably had it through.
I can't even tell you how I had it, so don't even ask.
Okay then.
And I don't
text us after then, because I thought you had it through someone like someone else. Okay.
Well, I did. I can't.
Yeah, no, I just thought you had it through someone else. But yeah, no, you've already said too much.
You're blowing up this. All of you are going to get us all in trouble. But but anyway, like when it came to time to pressure, like I wish I could remember the exact number, and I made a video about it. But all I know is that Garrett and Parsons were statistical outliers. Like if you look at the standard deviation and you look at 2 of those, right? There's a cutoff where anything above that is like the data should be thrown out, because it in actual statistics it's like too hard to explain things that are this far away from the mean. That is the time to pressure for Garrett and Parsons. And when you're a quarterback and your average time to throw is 2.5 seconds and their average time to pressure is 2.5 seconds, like you've got to hit the top of your drop and immediately alarm bells are going off. And I think it forces guys when they play these defenses to throw more picks, like because there's just at least with like Watt or anybody else who has like a normal timed pressure. It's like I have time to hit the top of my drop and scan things. It's like with these 2, you don't even have time to like do your drop back.
Right. It's the difference between screwing up some plays and screwing up every play, screwing up the average play. These guys screw up the average play. I totally agree.
Yeah. I mean, when in Garrett's Defensive Player of the Year season 2 years ago, like he was directly responsible for like 7 picks the Browns had because he went so fast.
Garrett in 2023, it felt like people always talk about Darth Vader when he's holding his lightsaber in one hand. He's like playing with his food. That's how Garrett felt in 23. And then when he
the rest
really
of the Browns defense is the stormtroopers, the offensive linemen, they're the rebels. And the quarterback is kind of like Obi-Wan.
Well, Obi-Wan beats Vader every time they fight. So
no, Darth Vader kills Obi-Wan. That's Star Wars 101.
Darth Vader, Obi-Wan,
but that Obi-Wan was playing the long game.
Obi-Wan let him win. Obi-Wan let him win. And every other real fight they had, Obi-Wan won.
So. How many fights is that?
I guess there's only 2 others. It's the battle on Mustafar, and then in the Kenobi show they battle again on Tatooine.
This is like Justin Herbert 2-0 versus Joe Burrow.
That's exactly. First off, I would say Mustafar is Anakin. No, I mean, I'm no Star Wars expert. But that's a whole different guy.
I mean, he had been he was Anakin, but he had already been like established as Vader. Like Palpatine had already given him the title.
Yeah, that's true.
But the suit definitely gives him
the suit definitely gives him some powers, doesn't it? Like
no, the suit makes him weaker. It's designed to hold him back, actually. Because otherwise he would be stronger than Palpatine.
Otherwise he'd really.
It was Palpatine. It was Palpatine punishing Vader for losing to Obi-Wan.
That seems crazy.
That seems like a bad idea.
It's Sith lore. They always try and like keep.
I guess that's why they lose in the end.
I guess that's true. You know, if you had given him a better suit,
there's 2 of them, and one's
given Vader, if he had given Vader a better suit, he could have kicked his son's ass.
Yeah, I guess they are kind of like selfish and evil, and that's
the whole point.
Kind of the whole point. It makes you wonder how they got so much power in the first place.
Well, because Palpatine was a master manipulator, kind of like T.J. Watt, you know.
Oh, I see. Wait, who's Vader in this? Wait,
is Garrett. Vader is Garrett in 2023 when he's like.
And the Cleveland Brown uniform is the suit that saps his powers.
True. That is very true. And Jim Schwartz is Palpatine.
Jim Schwartz is Palpatine. Oh man!
Actually, it's more like Andrew Berry keeping him in.
Actually, that's
keeping him in
Jimmy
Cleveland for no reason.
I'll say when I was watching Garrett for this, I mean, like, you know how good Garrett is, but I was watching him just to watch him again. And I'm like, we were talking this offseason about like, should the Bills trade 2 first-round draft picks for Myles Garrett? It's like, yeah, dude, they would win the Super Bowl if they did that. They would for sure win the Super Bowl.
I had the same thought where it's like
you might have to give up 3 for him. He's that good.
Like adding Saquon won the Eagles the Super Bowl, and like Garrett's better than that. Like. It would if a contender traded for him this offseason, it would have been like an instant win. Like, I was having the exact same thought. Like it would have been like adding Aaron Donald in his prime. Like he's gotten to that level, I think, where it's just like if we're handing the Defensive Player of the Year award out ethically, like Garrett is just winning it all the time because like no one like he's got all the speed that Parsons does while outweighing him by probably like 30 or 40 pounds, right?
Yeah.
So. Like what is there to do? There's nothing to do. He had a game against the Chargers this year where he had 3 sacks. All of them were like one-on-one wins against Slater and Alt. Like just torched him. Like no one has the pelts on the wall that Garrett has. Like it's just unbelievable.
Parsons is kind of like Darth Maul. That's the.
Except Ball went 0-1. He showed up for one fight and
but he comes back. He comes back in the Clone Wars show, and then he's like goated because he like
all right.
He basically forms like a massive crime syndicate and takes over all of Mandalore in like a day. So
I wish Micah Parsons had a great crime syndicate. Instead, he just has got Kenneth Murray.
Well, I wouldn't say it was a great crime syndicate. It was just he used a crime syndicate as like a distraction for power. So
I see.
Classic Parsons move.
Classic Parsons.
classic Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons is always doing this with his podcast, kind of with his podcasting.
And I'm trying to
is a distraction.
the podcast is a distraction. And I guess I'm trying to think about who Savage Opress would be, who was his brother / apprentice. I can't think of anyone on the.
Where do these big holes in Star Wars movies lead to? I swear everybody gets thrown down like a big shaft and lives.
Yeah,
like,
but then they got to make
happens
more
so
stuff.
much.
Okay,
that's
the
what
rule,
happens.
Here's the thing: the rule in science fiction. All right, people get upset about this all the time, but the rule in science fiction: no body, no death. All right, if you don't see their eyes glaze over, they are not dead.
I mean, clearly, but like, where are these shafts going to? Is my question. Like, is there an explanation on how every single Star Wars person like survives getting thrown down like a huge?
With Maul, there is.
I guess they have the
other
Force.
than like, yeah,
Maybe
he was just
their
angry enough to like survive. No, like literally, he was just like, I was
Kind of
pissed off for 4 years.
I did something similar a couple of years ago. It's
He fell down and was really angry.
That's actually a lot of the sports journalism industry generally is like, oh man, they're never going to recover from this mishap. But then they're just so like feisty that
they do
keep their audience.
What did you guys think about the Stephen A. Smith solitaire thing?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
He was shot playing solitaire like during a finals game. That's not even what pisses me off the most about
like on his phone?
Yeah, on his phone. Like he's at the game, he's playing solitaire. Maybe it was a commercial break or something like that. Honestly, like that's not the thing that makes me the most mad about Stephen A. The thing that makes me the most mad about him is how often he acts like some mafia boss towards these players. Like he did it today. Or he's like, John Morant, they don't want. Do you really want me to start telling the truth about Memphis? And it's like, like he's sitting on information that like and threatening the players openly. It's like, how is ESPN giving half their budget to Stephen A. Smith and he's just sitting here threatening everybody?
I guess we're talking about it.
Well, yeah, and that's the problem.
We're the problem,
I guess. And then like the information he was sitting on about Memphis was like the crime rate's really high there.
All right.
No.
That was the big payoff. Like I don't know, man.
Perpetuating stereotypes.
I mean, I get the crime rate is bad there, but like, why are you like going after John Morant and like pretending like you're sitting really on some like bombshell
to work on criminal reform in the city of
Morant is not setting the policy. I don't believe.
He is part of the statistics though. But I don't know. What do you think of the Desmond Bane trade, Matt? As long as we're at the
okay, so the general consensus opinion ended up, it was like at first like it was too much, and then it was like, well, it's such a great fit and those picks won't be that good, and Orlando's going to be better, and like that's true, the fit is really good, and the picks probably won't be that great. I kind of think Orlando is now like really committed to a roster that has a tough path to being a true contender. Maybe Banchero and Wagner, like they still have a lot of meat on the bone in terms of development potentially. So, I mean, if you're saying what's the path, is it like Banchero becomes an awesome, like top 10 player. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of people who question whether or not he's like really legit about that, or if his like shot diet is just not great. I like him. I think there's a lot of stuff he can do. I like that he can move the ball a decent amount, and I think that gives him a high ceiling. Obviously, he's a great athlete, but I don't disagree that like it gets to a point with the shot diet where it's like it's got to just be better, you know? So I kind of think like people are undervaluing the picks and undervaluing like the flexibility stuff. I mean, they're really, really bought in money-wise. I mean, they're going to be spending basically everything, right? It's not going to be that long until they pay everybody on their team that's avoiding the second apron, which there's maybe not much that you can do. But I kind of hate when everybody looks at like the first round picks and says like, well, what are the odds that you get a player as good as Bane? It's like, well, not great, but like if you're trying to, make it big, you can't sell off your lottery tickets for face value. Like, you're never going to be the number one team doing that all of the time. Like, yeah, hitting on draft picks is tough, but like, that's the whole game. Right. And I wonder if they could have been like aggressive adding without necessarily like saying this is the move we're making. So I think they'll be better. I think a conference finals appearance is totally like within the realm of possibility for them. And maybe how this ends up playing out is they get stuck and then they can just trade away Bane or trade away whoever the issue is and recoup a lot of that flexibility and value. And that's what I'm not considering. But I do wonder if it'll be short-term gains, very good. Long-term, the ceiling isn't quite there. That's my thought.
Very fair. Very fair.
We've got, at the time of this recording coming out, we'll be in Game 6 of the NBA Finals. The Pacers are down 3-2. Matt, do you think they'll get one more, or do you think the series ends?
Halliburton is like apparently not going to play, or he's like a game time decision. Yeah, his calf he messed up his calf really bad.
Oh, I did not know that.
I mean, he had 0 points, right?
Well, he scored. He didn't have a bucket.
He didn't have
he had like 3
field goal. Yeah. Right.
Right. And he wasn't playing great before the injury. I mean, it is what it is. McConnell, if he has another game like he did last time and he has to play 30 minutes, like maybe they can get it done. The Pacers are a feisty team, but yeah, I think the Thunder will win. If there's no Halliburton, I can't not pick the Thunder.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Tough. They had a good run though. They tried.
Yeah, I think we're about at that point.
But before we get out of here, I'll run through the consensus list one more time. At number 10, we had Nik Bonitto. Number 9, Jaire Verse. Number 10, Trey Hendrickson. Number 7, Will Anderson. Number 6, Aiden Hutchinson. Number 5, Nick Bosa. Number 4, Maxx Crosby. Number 3, TJ Watt. Number 2, Micah Parsons. And number 1, Myles Garrett. There's a lot of players on this list where, like, you look at the last name, because I just have it sorted by last names, and there's, like, several other names you could say there, like JJ Watt, Mason Crosby, Joey Bosa.
Mason? he's a great edge rusher for a long time.
I don't know.
Shout out Chop Robinson. Shout out Josh Hines Allen. Shout out.
I almost put Hines Allen on my list. That was another guy.
Trayvon Walker also he's good kind of close, honestly. I thought about it because he's such a good run defender. But yeah, there's a lot of. Anyway, no more honorable mentions.
No more honorable mentions. Matt hates honorable mentions, so to appease. But thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode of Stay Hot. We'll be back with
shout out Brian Burns.
Shout out Brian Burns, Carolina Panthers legend. If we're gonna give an honorable mention, gotta at least bring up the Panthers. We'll be back with more top 10 rankings. We're going to start getting into our division previews here soon as well. Make sure you check out the smaller YouTube videos that we've been putting out, going over various players and other aspects of the NFL world. But until next time, as always, from your favorite 3 fellas here at Stay Hot, we will catch you on the flippity flop.